The story opens in 2157 on the mining colony of New Perth. Captain Jake Miller leads a routine survey mission when his team discovers something impossible buried beneath the red soil. The object is massive, geometric, and clearly not human-made. It pulses with an energy that makes their equipment go wild. Dr. Lisa Park, the team's scientist, runs her scanners over the structure. The readings show technology beyond anything humanity has seen. The object appears to be some kind of gateway, covered in symbols that shift and change when viewed directly. The team realizes they have found alien technology. Within hours, the discovery reaches Earth Command. Admiral Ross immediately classifies the find and sends the research vessel Pioneer to investigate. The ship carries humanity's best minds, led by Professor Tom Hayes, an expert in theoretical physics. As the team studies the gate, they notice it responds to human presence. The symbols glow brighter when people approach. After days of careful study, Hayes makes a breakthrough. The gate is not just technology, it's a doorway to somewhere else. The energy readings suggest it connects to other worlds, other systems, maybe even other dimensions. The team debates what to do. Some want to wait, study more, be cautious. Others argue that humanity has always been explorers. They didn't ask permission to cross oceans or reach for the stars. Why should this be different? Captain Miller makes the decision. They will activate the gate. As the ancient mechanism hums to life, a portal opens, showing glimpses of alien worlds beyond. The team prepares for humanity's next great leap into the unknown. The part ends with the gate fully active, its swirling energy offering both promise and danger. Humanity stands on the edge of a new age, ready to step through whether they were invited or not. The first team through the gate lands on a world of crystal spires and floating platforms. The air is breathable, the gravity manageable. Captain Miller leads a small group to explore while maintaining contact with the base team. They don't explore long before they encounter the builders. The aliens are tall, graceful beings with 4 arms and skin that changes color with emotion. They call themselves the builders, and they are not happy to see humans. Commander Vel, their leader, speaks through a translation device. His skin flashes angry red patterns as he demands to know how humans found the gate. He explains that the Gateway Network belongs to the Council of Worlds, an alliance of 12 advanced species. Humanity was never invited to join. The builders reveal that the gates are sacred technology passed down from an ancient race called the Makers. Only council members may use them. Humanity's activation of the gate without permission is seen as theft and violation of cosmic law. Captain Miller tries to explain that humans didn't know about the council. They found the gate by accident and activated it out of curiosity. Commander Vel doesn't care about human ignorance. He demands they leave immediately and never return. The situation gets worse when more council ships arrive. Representatives from different species, the insect-like hive, the energy-based lumins, and others all agree on one thing. Humanity must be stopped. They see humans as dangerous primitives who might damage the ancient network. Dr. Park tries to negotiate, offering to share human technology in exchange for gate access. The council laughs at this. What could a young species possibly offer beings who have traveled the stars for thousands of years? The meeting ends with an ultimatum. Humanity has 3 days to shut down the gate and forget it ever existed. If they refuse, the council will shut it down permanently and ensure humans never find another one. As the human team returns through the gate, they bring news that will change everything. Humanity faces a choice: submit to alien authority or fight for their right to explore the stars. Back on New Perth, the news spreads quickly, despite Earth Command's attempts at secrecy. Humanity learns they are not alone in the universe, and they are not welcome in the galactic community. Admiral Ross convenes an emergency meeting with world leaders. The debate is fierce. Some want to comply with the Council's demands, arguing that humanity isn't ready for galactic politics. Others refuse to bow to alien authority, no matter how advanced. President Maria Sanctus of the Earth Federation speaks for many when she says humanity has never asked permission to explore. From the first humans who left Africa to the colonists who settled Mars, exploration is what makes them human. Professor Hayes reveals his findings about the Gate Network. The technology is incredibly old, possibly millions of years ancient. The current Council species didn't build it, they inherited it, just like humans could. This changes everything. The Council's claim to ownership might not be as strong as they pretend. Meanwhile, Captain Miller organizes secret missions through the gate. Small teams of volunteers cross to different worlds, mapping the network and gathering intelligence. They discover the Council isn't as united as it appears. Some species have doubts about their aggressive stance toward humanity. The traders, a merchant species, secretly contact the humans. They offer to help in exchange for human goods and technology. They reveal that the Council fears humanity, not because they're primitive, but because they're unpredictable. Humans don't follow the careful protocols that govern galactic civilization. Dr. Park leads efforts to understand the gate technology better. Her team makes an important discovery. The gates respond differently to humans than to other species. Something in human DNA or brain structure creates a stronger connection to the ancient technology. As the 3-day deadline approaches, humanity makes its decision. They will not shut down the gate. Instead, they will defend their right to use it. If the Council wants to stop them, they'll have to fight for it. The part ends with human fleets positioning near the gate and Council ships gathering on the other side. Both sides prepare for a confrontation that could determine humanity's place in the galaxy. The Council doesn't waste time. On the 4th day, a massive fleet emerges from the gate onto New Perth. The alien ships are beautiful and deadly, powered by technology that makes human vessels look primitive. Commander Vell leads the attack, confident that overwhelming force will make humans see reason. The Council fleet expects quick surrender from a species that barely understands basic gate technology. They underestimate humanity completely. Captain Miller's defense fleet uses tactics the aliens have never seen. Human ships are smaller and weaker, but they fight with desperate creativity. They use asteroids as weapons, turn mining equipment into bombs, and coordinate attacks with precision that surprises their enemies. The battle spreads across the star system. Human colonists evacuate, while military forces buy them time. The Council's advanced shields and weapons give them advantages, but humans adapt quickly, learning alien weaknesses and exploiting them. Dr. Park makes a crucial discovery during the fighting. The gate network has hidden functions that even the Council doesn't know about. By studying the ancient symbols, she learns how to access emergency protocols built by the original makers. The revelation comes at the perfect moment. As Council forces push toward the gate, Park activates a security system that locks down the entire network. Suddenly, no one can use the gates, not the Council, not humanity, not anyone. The fighting stops as both sides realize what happened. Commander Val demands Park reverse the lockdown, but she refuses. If the Council wants the gates working again, they'll have to negotiate with humanity as equals. This changes everything. The Council's empire depends on the gate network for trade, communication, and military coordination. Without it, their 12-species alliance might collapse. They need the gates working more than they need to punish humanity. But the Council isn't ready to negotiate yet. They decide to take the fight to Earth itself, using slower-than-light ships to attack humanity's home world. If they can't use the gates, they'll destroy human civilization the old-fashioned way, The war escalates beyond anyone's expectations. Both sides prepare for a conflict that will determine whether humanity joins the galactic community or dies trying. The siege of Earth lasts 6 months. Council fleets arrive through normal space, their advanced ships hammering human defenses. But Earth isn't New Perth, it's humanity's fortress world, defended by everything humans can build or steal. The planet's surface bristles with weapons. Orbital platforms guard every approach. Most importantly, billions of humans refuse to surrender, even as alien bombardment rains down on their cities. Admiral Ross coordinates the defense from Luna Base, while Professor Hayes works frantically to understand more gate secrets. Every day brings new discoveries about the ancient network and its original builders. A breakthrough comes when Hayes realizes the makers weren't just another alien species. They were travelers from another dimension, beings who created the gates to explore multiple realities. The current galactic civilization built their entire culture around technology they barely understood. Captain Miller leads humanity's counterattack. Using modified human ships powered by gate technology, his forces strike Council worlds directly. The aliens expected humans to defend their home and nothing more. They never imagined humans would take the war to them. The traitors secretly provide intelligence about Council weaknesses. Other species, seeing humanity's determination, begin questioning the Council's authority. Some even offer covert support, providing supplies and safe harbor for human raiders. Dr. Park finally cracks the gate network's deepest secrets. She discovers how to create new gates, not just use existing ones. This means humanity doesn't need the Council's permission. They can build their own network if necessary. When Park shares this discovery with the Council, everything changes. Commander Vell realizes his species has lost their monopoly on gate travel. Humanity can now go anywhere, build gates anywhere, explore any world they choose. The war ends not with conquest, but with exhaustion. Both sides have lost too much to continue fighting. The Council faces rebellion from member species tired of endless war. Humanity has proven they belong among the stars, whether aliens like it or not. The final negotiations take place on a neutral world. Commander Vell, his skin now showing resigned purple patterns, agrees to humanity's terms. Humans will have full access to the gate network as the 13th member of the Council. But humans negotiate for more than membership. They demand the right to explore beyond Council space, to seek out new gates and new worlds. The galaxy is vast, and humanity intends to see all of it. The story ends with Captain Miller leading the first official human exploration fleet through a distant gate. Behind him, Dr. Park's research teams work to unlock more ancient secrets. Ahead of him, unknown worlds wait for human footsteps. Council learned what the Makers knew long ago. Exploration isn't about permission. It's about courage. And humanity has plenty of that. As human ships spread across the galaxy, they carry a simple message. We didn't ask to cross your gate because we don't ask permission to reach for the stars. We are humanity, and the universe is our birthright.